But mainly, the biggest thing in this rap beef is the AI that was rolled out. And right now, Spotify is in a proxy war with the record labels and also the distribution companies, as far as kind of trying to eliminate the market share of independent artists on that platform. That's why they elected to not pay people unless they hit a certain amount of streams. But per stream, there's still money being generated. Where does that go if they don't pay the, if you don't have 1,000 streams, maybe you have 800. Where does the money go from that? And how many independent artists have 800 streams, and then you collect it from all those artists? That got to equate to some sort of money. So the record labels are kind of playing a funny game with Spotify, having them implement all these rules, while at the same time, Spotify does have AI already in their, I would say, in their ecosystem that have no name, no author. It's hard to tell if it's even real, and it's merged into some of these playlists. So they actually have a way of keeping royalty checks to themselves. Like, this is a whole clusterfuck of a lot of different things. But once again, Drake is baked into the ecosystem. To have an AI set up like that already on deck, just all the music videos that Drake dropped that look like they cost a lot of money to do them that fast. Like, this guy is really fucking built in. But an interesting interview right here where they spoke about AI's threat to music and just the overall industry, as streaming in general right now, it's turned music into sort of a passive kind of afterthought, like the lights in your house. You don't even consider those things, they're just on. But it's not until the power goes out you really appreciate the lights. And they sort of turn music into the same thing. It's just a bunch of background noise at this point, and the playlist is just gonna curate the next thing to you. So very blindly, you could be listening to AI and not even know it. And the AI is a path to the record labels or the streaming services not to pay the artists. So there's a lot of proxy wars going on. Once again, the music industry, this is completely their fault for not understanding when they first teamed up with Apple for the iPod to list all their songs on the iTunes store, to allow Apple to actually build a $1 billion business selling iPods off the backs of their music. They sort of not only pigeonhole themselves to a price point where each song costs $1. Now you don't even have to sell a whole album, just a song. It's like the music industry continues to kind of dummy down their product to fit with the tech companies who really don't even give a fuck about the music, because they always have an ulterior motive into building their companies. But you guys check out this interview with Ted Goya as he reflected on AI's threat to music, and every once in a while I'll check in.
Well, AI is everywhere right now, and it's the hot topic in music. But the question is, how much is it being used? And the problem is there's not a lot of disclosure. What we see about AI is almost a secret. And this is probably the biggest warning sign for me, is if AI is really so wonderful, if it's so exciting, if it's so tremendous, why do they have to keep it a secret? And I see this everywhere. Now, I'm going to talk about music in a second, but let me just look at some of the other fields. Like, I'm in writing.
Yep.
And there are these AI articles everywhere, but no disclosure. A few months ago, Sports Illustrated, right before it collapsed, had this great idea of saving money by using AI to write articles. And
man, it was even worse than that. Not only did they use AI to write articles, they actually outsourced another company to get the AI, or even to find the writers to write the articles. So they try to blame it on the outsourcing company, when eventually, if you go down the line and look at the paperwork, Sports Illustrated is just a name at this point. It's just a name, and the name actually gets licensed out to other companies so they can use it. It's a whole clusterfuck. Sports Illustrated is not really what we think it is. At this point, it's just a brand that's just holding kind of digital real estate at this point.
You know what they did? Is they actually assigned the names of people to the articles. Well, this article is by Bill Smith or Nancy Jones or whatever. And then they would have bios and a web page for these authors that did not exist.
And as soon as they got caught, they deleted everything. My God. But you could even tell that all these articles were written by AI. I'm wondering how they sourced these articles and got the AI to write them. How many previous writers did they kind of copyright their material? This is very interesting, but we all know the government's going to be real slow on the rollout for this AI.
Because they were ashamed
Unbelievable.
of using the AI.
Yeah.
And this is spread everywhere. In books, I had now AI books come out trying to steal my readers, and they attribute the books to Mr. Joya. Frank Joya wrote this book on jazz. And basically, they're targeting the readers of my jazz book, but deceptively. At no point do they say, this book is written by AI. So I actually looked at all the new music books that were listed on Amazon and tried to figure out which ones are by real authors and which ones are by AI. And you can't figure it out. There's no honesty there. So let's now look at music. And in music, my fear the same thing is happening. On Spotify, one of the users, a fellow named Adam Faze, was listening to Spotify, and he kept hearing the same song over and over again. He said, this is interesting. He started paying attention every time the song came on. It was a 41-second song.
Okay.
He saw it had a different name and a different artist. Now, wait a second, this song sounds almost identical to the one I heard. So he compiled a playlist of 49 songs that were more or less identical, but they had different names, different artists, and were attributed to different composers. Now, what's going on here? That can't be true. Now, it's obvious to conclude, and I can't prove it though, is this is Spotify's way of using AI. They have AI songs. They attribute them to people that don't exist, like Sports Illustrated. And this allows them to take royalties that would go to musicians and keep them for themselves. If they can own the work themselves, created by AI, they're going to be able to maximize their revenues. Now, I can't prove this is happening at Spotify, but it's hard to think of some other explanation for what's going on. So this is the real story behind AI. AI is the hot thing in music, but not because it's great music. I've never met anyone where I say, what's your favorite genre of music? Oh, I love this AI stuff.